Before we get into this video, I know you guys saw the title or thumbnail and instantly think it's all negative, but please watch the entire video. It's not all negative, as I enjoy some aspects of Demo 5. And I still love this game and will keep playing, as I've enjoyed the past demos and have been making videos on this game for about 2 years now. It's just that this demo had a lot of issues I feel should be talked about. Just know, I am not a hater on Blocktails and I still love the game, but today I'm going to talk about Demo 5 and how I am greatly disappointed by this update and have loads of issues that I will go into great detail about. So again, please watch the entire video. Also, before we start, I just want to let you guys know this is only about Demo 5, not the rewrite. I do think the rewrite has its own issues, but that's for another video. This video will be split into different sections about Demo 5, like gameplay, story, OSTs, world building, and bosses. I will go through each of these categories and list stuff I like, then dislike about them. So without any more delays, let's get into today's video on why I am disappointed about Blocktails Demo 5. First, let's talk about how Blocktails Demo 5 took 11 months to release, which is almost an entire year. Now listen, I know they got sent into development hell since the Campy situation, and I understand that, I'm not attacking them for that, but it really feels like so many things were not fully thought out and were honestly kind of rushed. A prime example of this in my opinion is the OSTs. This one is the most opinion based, so like I could be wrong, people are definitely gonna like disagree or agree with me, so just don't take this part too seriously because again it's opinion based. But Blocktails is well known for its amazing OSTs, ranging from insane OSTs like Hatred and the Ancients, which are like the best OSTs in the game, and to simple and catchy OSTs from other bosses or just places throughout the game, like the Manor, the Komodo Dragon, Cemetery, you get the idea. They are known to have amazing OSTs throughout the game, but in Blocktails Demo 5, I personally just feel like a lot of the OSTs feel lame and sort of boring compared to the previous demos. I just want to clarify, I'm not mainly talking about the insane OSTs like Hatred and Ancients, but just like in general. I'm not comparing all of those OSTs from Demo 5 to those two specifically. So many of the boss OSTs and even common OSTs just feel lackluster to me, and it's a bummer. I'm not saying they all need to be bangers, but like, the OSTs just don't slap as hard as the previous demos did, and it blows, especially since the update took 11 months to come out. And that doesn't mean I dislike all of them, though I love the Trinity boss theme and Mutant boss theme. They just feel like rare exceptions, and I just dislike the other OSTs a lot. A lot of the boss OSTs this update don't even feel like bosses, they just feel like more like normal OSTs to me. Specifically the final boss OST, but I'm saving that for the boss segment. I'm starting off with this topic because again, this one is just the most opinion based, and I just think the OSTs this update are extremely lackluster, and it does suck since I am a sucker for medieval themed chapters. That's all for the OST segment. Next, I want to talk about the gameplay. When I talk about the gameplay, I mean the battles, the cards, and the pit for the most part. The battles are extremely mediocre in my opinion, as they are just like regular enemies, but this time they spam 5,000 debuffs, so it's just bring, feel fine, or suffer. That's my only thoughts on the common battles. The cards just feel extremely lackluster this update. Don't get me wrong, I love that they added new cards to Rocket Launcher and Slingshot. I think that's amazing and they should keep doing that for all weapon classes. But some people don't use those classes, and I wanted to see just like more common cards that can be used by anybody. Like new call cards, new support cards, just new cards in general that aren't restricted to weapon classes. I feel like it just wasn't delivered at all this update. The new Call Cassie card is cool, but you get that card at the end of the story, so you only get to use it during the pit and Super Boss, and that blows in my opinion, since the story fights are the main content of the game. I have the same issue with Pack Tactics. Like, I love the inclusion of this card, but dude, you don't even get to use it until you beat the new pit floors entirely, or you defeat the new Super Boss entirely. Both of those tend to get done after the story, and it sucks so bad. I didn't know it existed until after I beat both the Mutant and the Pit, and all I could think of was, it would have been nice if I could have used this during the actual story fights, since again, that's actually where the main content of the game comes from. where again, you guys are going to hear me bring this up a lot, but again, 11 months for this demo, and the only new cards that are not weapon classes are 2. And you get both of those cards towards the end of the new content added. I think there just should have been a lot more new cards in general that aren't weapon class based, and they should have just made the cards obtained during the shop in the story or found while exploring. Making the only 2 new cards that aren't weapon classes obtainable towards the end sucks so bad, especially for the people who run unique builds that don't use slingshot or rocket launcher. And I know there was a paintball card added, but I'm gonna be honest, that's not really used. People don't really use that, so I personally just don't even count it. And I still count it as a weapon class card, so yeah. Something I did love during this update though was the pit. In my opinion, it's the highlight of this update. Yes, there are annoying enemies, but the pit is supposed to get more annoying and harder the farther you go into it, and that got delivered exactly this update. The new pit was mixed with actual challenges and required you to think who you wanted to kill first, and I love that so much, and I really hope they keep doing that in the future. Don't hate me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Packfire makes these pit levels, and I'm gonna be honest, it shows since she actually plays the games and the pit levels become more challenging, but overall fun. I really love the new pit this update, even though a lot of you guys found it annoying, especially with those stupid mages, but still, I think the pit had a pretty good update this demo. Next is the overall story of Demo 5, and oh boy do I have a lot to say about this. Immediately in the chapter, when we arrive at Trinity, we are told that the Crowblocks are the main villains and the reason we can't just take the Wind Force, because Cassie needs to use it and protect the land since it's the only power strong enough to keep them completely safe. Then, during the council meeting, the Crowblocks invades. Cassie gets one-shotted and we defeat the enemies and they retreat. I really like this part because in my opinion, it really shows how the Crowblocks were supposed to be the main threat and actually showed them raiding Trinity and backed up to why we couldn't just take the Wind Force. It actually proves that they are the main villains, or were supposed to be. I also like the Trinity Council questioning us and not fully trusting us, and they give actually pretty solid reasonings, which is nice to see. The trio and Telemon then go out to fight the Crowblocks and defend all of Trinity, which again is a good example of show not tell. They are showing us how much of a threat Crowblocks really is. I like that. Here's where my issues about the story come into play. We go out of the castle to assist in battle, but the thing is, we mostly fight the 3 factions' troops instead of the actual Crowblocks. Past Redcliffe, we literally don't see or fight any more Crowblocks, which is extremely weird considering how they are supposed to be all over Trinity and the main threat to the entire land and demo. I know some of you are going to point out that we were fighting loads of the Crowblocks before we arrived, but that's before they raided the council. It's before all of Trinity were sent out to defend the land from Crowblocks. I think it's cool we had to fight the 3 factions, but again, completely after Redcliffe, you just don't fight any more Crowblocks, and you only see their bodies around the map, which I personally think sucks. They were set up to be the main force, and the main force driving the story, and we're even teased at the new end of the Demo 4 cutscene, and it's just they get sidelined the entire demo until the final boss fight. I find this an odd choice of writing because they just completely forgot about their entire existence until the final boss fight, which is just extremely weird, but let's continue. We then go to each one of the Trinity Councils and get their keys to the Wind Force, and I like this because we had to fight the hot-headed Reginald, basically have a court case against Roper to prove ourselves, and a puzzle with Azuri where she reveals that we aren't bad people and that we were actually trusted by Shedletsky, which should prove something because we have a world threat to go against. Again, I liked all of these except fighting the factions for some reason along the way. It showed that 2 of the trio were actually reasonable and weren't wanting to fight us instantly like Reginald. Cassie then splits off from us, saying she needs to do things by herself, which is a good character moment I feel like, but then we go back into the Trinity Council building, and when we try to go into the final area, we instantly get stopped by the Trinity Council, and they want to immediately fight us and say we were manipulating Cassie the entire time when we were just literally chill with 2 of them and literally had an entire court case about this with Robert, and Azuri knew about Shedletsky trusting us and us having to fight a world level threat. Like, I know the little area Cassie's in, nobody's supposed to enter, but they just immediately want to throw hands instead of trying to reason with us when we were literally just chill with 2 of them. This just screams bad storytelling, and this feels like a decision that was only made just so they could shove one more boss fight before the main fight, since they only had 2 previous boss fights, which one was a complete freebie, by the way. Now listen, I don't dislike the idea of fighting the council, but story-wise, it just happened so randomly and was just genuinely a bad storytelling moment, especially since we just proved ourselves to 2 of them that we weren't bad people and we're actually there to help. Reginald wanting to fight us is like reasonable because that dude is a pure hater, but the other 2 doing a complete 180 without even wanting to reason or talking out, it's just so dumb. This is like the biggest L of the writing in the story so far, but whatever, let's just get to the final fight. We then meet up with Cassie and see her wielding the Wind Force and are worried she's about to turn evil like the others, but she doesn't. They finally remembered the crow blocks exist and were supposed to be the main threat, and we finally get to see them again since Redcliffe, and this time, their leader has a sick looking dragon. I like this part. I'm glad they actually remember they existed, but I have issues with the fight, but I will go into details about that later. So, with the power of Cassie and the Wind Force and us, we beat the Crowblocks and his dragon, and Cassie passes out from using the Wind Force. Then, boom, we just straight up kill the Crowblocks dude, and the day is saved. We then cut back to the council where they give an entire victory speech, then we get gifted the Wind Force from Cassie, and that one dude tries to walk in and tries to aura farm, then just leaves. Boom, end of chapter. Now, I actually think this area could use some improvements, but overall, it's not a bad area. I think it's fairly decent, so I don't mind this. So to recap, let's go over all the positives I liked about the story. I liked how in the beginning, the Trinity Council are suspicious of us and give actual valid reasonings, but don't fight us immediately. I like how right after the Trinity Council talks about how weak and vulnerable Trinity as a whole is, it immediately gets shown by Crowblocks crashing in and fighting us and spreading across all of Trinity, which the Council and their troops go to fight across the land. The demo up until this point was extremely good in my opinion, but let's talk about the negatives. Crowblocks, despite being the main threat, never shows up again after Redcliffe until the final boss fight, which blows since they are supposed to be the driving force of the story, but they instead get immediately sidelined and we fight the other faction's troops instead for some odd reason. I know Crowblock's bodies are shown around the map, but I'd rather just fight a mix of them and the other factions instead of just the factions and only them. Them sidelining the Crowblocks like this kills a part of the main plot line for me, since they are just shown to easily be defeated. So it's weird how the Wind Force was meant to be the main power saving them from complete destruction, when it's clearly shown otherwise and not to be the case, and clearly is shown that the Trinity Council and their troops can easily fend off against the Crowblocks and their army. Moving on, I like how we had to prove ourselves to both Robert and Azuri that we could be trusted and aren't evil people, only for that to immediately be forgotten 2 seconds later, and us having to fight the council. Again, this feels like just terrible writing, as we were literally chill with them, but now we suddenly aren't, even though we proved ourselves to 2 of them? I firmly believe they decided this just to include another boss fight, which in my opinion is a complete L, and ruins a majority of the story when we had to prove ourselves for a good amount of time, only for it to mean nothing, not even 2 seconds later. Then they finally remembered that Crowbox is supposed to be the main villain and not the council and their troops, so now we have to fight the Crowbox commander and his huge sick dragon. My only issue here is again them forgetting about the Crowblocks until the very end, which blows and ruins the story for me. After that, I think the rest of the story is fairly decent. I like Cassie not falling for the visions and not turning evil. Instead, she actually assists us and fights alongside us and hands over the Wind Force after the final battle. I saw some people disliking Cassie's character, but overall, I think she's decent. I don't think she was the best, it could definitely be improved, but it wasn't the worst either. And I thought it was fairly decent and had no issues with it. And those are my entire thoughts on the story, and holy yapfest. I think the story having so many inconsistencies and not making sense is one of the major reasons why I dislike this chapter so much. But it's not the only reason. It's I love the Block Tales devs, I really do. But you guys had 11 months to write this, man. and the story has this many issues, inconsistencies, and just plot holes, it's just like, really? Especially after the peak Demo 3 was, which was just made 4 months after Demo 2, by the way. And you guys had 11 months to write the story and perfect it. It's just like, I'm disappointed, man. But let's go on to the next section, which is world building. And this section is going to be pretty short. I think the builders for this update did an amazing job, and everything looks amazing and sick, as I am a huge sucker for medieval chapters, as I mentioned before. My only issue is the entire area before arriving at Trinity feeling like a repeat of Demo 4's desert theme, but that's really it. It's just a small nitpick, nothing big. World building ties heavy into the story, and I think they did a perfect job at making sure it matched the story entirely, and I just hope they keep doing excellent work like this in the future. If only the story could have been as good as the building, honestly. Now, finally, the last part I want to talk about is the bosses, and oh boy, it's only negatives from here, I'm sorry. Just like with the story, the bosses heavily tie into the game, and can either make or break it, and all of the bosses in Demo 5 are lackluster and pretty lame in my opinion. So let's go in order. The Overseer Mage was cool, but he's a freebie boss who isn't even really a boss, and that's lame. And he just had a sick design and was even in the update thumbnail. And he's just like treated as nothing. It would have been fine if he was treated like how the turkey from Demo 3 was, where he was a side boss, barely had any screen time, wasn't even like a main boss, but he wasn't. And he legit never appeared again. So he's just like, he's sort of a pointless character and boss entirely. I'm sorry. He has a cool design, but he was tossed aside from his 5 seconds of screen time. Reginald is pretty cool. I like his character, and his solo boss fight wasn't too bad, but it wasn't good either. I think this was on purpose though, because the real fight is supposed to be the Trinity Council. So I'll excuse this. I'll let it slide. I don't really care that much for him being a bad solo fight. I really like the Trinity Council boss fight in concept, but the execution is not the best. The team up moves are such an insanely cool idea, but the ones they made are sort of lame and only with Rober, I'm pretty sure, so it blows. The fight itself is pretty easy, and the only direct challenge you will get is Azuri using that one instant kill move. The OST slaps, but for this being the second to last boss in the entire chapter, it's just pretty lackluster. Compare it to Fear or Captain Trotter, who were the second to last, and it's like, the difficulty is clearly much lower and it blows. Banger OST though. And finally, we have the Crowblocks Dragon, and oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this guy. First, let's start design, since his design is the only thing I like about him. His design is incredibly cool, and it's a nice little detail having the commander guy from earlier riding him. That's where the positives end, sadly. Let's begin with the OST, and oh my god, this battle music is so garbage, it's insane. I literally think the Astral Plane's common battle music outmogs this lackluster final fight OST. Nothing is special about it, it's just extremely lackluster and feels like fighting a common enemy. Legit, compare this to Hatred and the Ancients OST, which were literally previous demos, and it's actually sad of how much of a downgrade this OST was. Komodo Dragon, Solitude, and Temple Guardians OST are leagues better than this, and they aren't even the final bosses. I'm actually just like extremely upset about this, because usually the final boss in Block Tales always have banger OSTs, and this trash is just sad. I really can't believe we went from the Ancients to this, and they had 11 months to make this. It's just upsetting to me. But moving on from that disappointment of an OST, let's talk about the gameplay. It doesn't get any better from there. The entire fight, you just have to keep Cassie alive or you lose instantly, and that is so annoying, dude. Unless you have a dedicated support player in your party to keep Cassie alive, she is just so annoying to deal with. She has a lot of HP, sure, but she's a call card, so it's guaranteed damage every time somebody chooses to attack her. And she gets stunned for some reason after using that one attack, which is odd. I personally hope they never do something like this again, because it's just spam Ice Dagger or Cure half the time, which prevents you from actually attacking the boss, which just kills the vibe entirely. This alone makes it feel much less of a fight and more of a chore. The boss isn't even hard to kill either, but it just has a bunch of defense and spams minions all the times, which just makes it feel like such a chore, and honestly, it's just stalling. Some of its moves are even hard to see, so there's that. His moves aren't anything special, and visually they look lame, especially compared to the last two final bosses again, Hatred and the Ancient One. Overall, for a final boss, this is like the worst one to be added to the game. The boss itself isn't even hard. It's just more of a chore, having to constantly heal Cassie and clear the minions, or else you just don't do damage to him and lose. I seriously hope they never make a boss like this again, and this singular boss disappointed me so much. Like, 11 months for this dude. The OST is bad. The gameplay is a chore and not an actual fight or challenge. It's just boring and bad game design. Like, literally, when I first fought this in my first playthrough, I was so underwhelmed by his attacks and OST. I thought there was gonna be another second boss like Captain Trotter and Griefer turned out to be, but nope. Basically, this is all of my thoughts for Demo 5 as a whole. I would personally rate it an overall 4 out of 10. The only thing keeping it from a 1 out of 10 is the pit and the gameplay, I guess. The OSTs were lackluster to me, the story had so many plot holes and inconsistencies, and the bosses, this demo, it just sucked. There were so many issues with this demo in my opinion, and it took 11 months to make, man. So I was expecting it to at least be on par with demos 3 and 4, but it wasn't. It under-delivered. I know I'm gonna catch a lot of hate for this, but I really don't care. It just sucks seeing how much of a mess this chapter turned out to be, especially after waiting for such a long time. Again, I know they were in development hell after the campy situation, but still, this does not excuse the bad writing, the bad development, and the bad OSTs, and the worst boss fight in the game. I don't hate the game, I still love it, but dude, this demo was just one huge mess. Anyways, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with some of my points? Also, please don't directly attack people for their differing opinions on this demo. It's just not that serious. People are allowed to like or dislike Demo 5. I personally just dislike Demo 5 for many reasons that I just yapped about. But yeah. Anyways, I hope they improve in the future, and thanks for watching. See ya.